Hey, hi everybody. Nice to see you all again. I am honored today to be with one of my buddies, my 2024 Miss Wheelchair buddy. This is Sharon Malone as Miss Wheelchair Arizona back in the day. But we are here today because she is the most amazing self defense knowledge of anybody I've ever met. And we'll get into it more. But Sharon, yes, is actually in a wheelchair in real life, and she knows how to kick ass, and she's going to teach us how to kick ass, uh, and and tell us all how she started with this company called Damsel in Defense, and how you guys, we all, can defend ourselves in and feel confident in any situation. Did I describe that pretty accurately,
That was,
Sharon?
that was perfect.
Very good. I can't wait to hear more about how you started out and then for you to show us how we can defend ourselves. First, I just want to shout out to our sponsors. We have wonderful, wonderful sponsors who've been with us for, gosh, years now. Mobility professionals and urology professionals. They're here for us for, do we need DMV? DME? Do we need any kind of urology products? They're here in Southern California. They know our community. They hire people in wheelchairs, and we all love them. So, you need anything, go to Mobility Professionals and Urology Professionals. There you go. All right, Sharon,
Perfect.
tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in all of this. Were you attacked, or what was your motivation for getting involved with Damsels in Defense?
So, as described, I was in a car accident. It'll be 14 years this coming October. And I was in rehab for 6 months before I got home. But my kids were 2, 4, and 7 at the time that I got injured. So, all I thought about during our rehab was how was I going to be a mom? And that's all I thought about. And I was wondering about all the different scenarios. What would happen now that I'm in a wheelchair? So I
Mm-hmm.
thought, especially on safety, I was like, I can't, I'm just trying to acclimate from being in rehab. And I thought, oh gosh, what if there's a fire? How do I get my kids out safely? What if somebody broke into our home? How would I defend myself and the kids? And then I thought about when I started to get out in the community and started driving again. And I was like, what if somebody tried to kidnap my kids? I can't just, run after them anymore. So what do I do? And that just, motivated me to, try and find some self-defense and how could I protect myself. So I started with taking some self-defense classes in the state of Arizona, and they have these programs. So I encourage everyone to look up at their state because there is some in California, and each city has the police department puts on what's a program called RAD. It's R.A.D, and it's a
And
rape
that
awareness.
stands for?
Yeah, it's a rape awareness defense class, and it's put on by the police department. Usually a very small class, so registrations usually goes quickly. But I went through the city of Mesa, city of Chandler, city of Phoenix. I trained with their police officers to
Did they
okay,
freak
how
out when they
and
saw you were in a wheelchair?
well, they weren't. They're like, some of these things were like, okay, we're showing like how to kick, in the groin. And I'm like, they were like, well, I don't know how do that since you can't do that. And so
Right.
I kind of like, I said to the police officers, just so you know, I am perfectly eye level where I'm going to strike you where you really don't want me to strike you. And, and they look and as looking at eye level, they're like, oh, yeah, shoot,
Yep.
that's going to be a problem. So it's, first thing to do is protect. So I'm like, yeah, I have the full force, of my body, not just my knee. I have, the full body to get you. So
I think
really, there's nothing that
every
can
woman in a
stop.
wheelchair has thought of that, right?
Exactly.
As
Everyone
we're
in a
right there at eye
wheelchair.
level, we're like, oh, you sucker. You give me a hard time.
Yeah,
You
you're
are in
sucker.
such deep
You're done.
trouble.
Yes. And they have to, it's funny how like people think like in wheelchairs think, oh, I can't defend myself. I can't. I'm like, you are more powerful than you think. You have the ability. Yes, your eye level. Yes, you can pull them towards you. Yes, they're coming at you. They have to come down to you to choke or to try and get behind you, etc. They've got the wheelchair that they've got to grab around, so it's not
Uh-huh.
as easy. They can't just pick you up and try and take you like an able-bodied can. So really, there we are more powerful than we think. So that's kind of the reason I started it. Then I started um, target shooting. Of course, I was going through a divorce. Perfect thing to go through is, just get a gun and ammo, target some visualization skills. You're good to go. So
Now you're in
I started,
Arizona, so it'd be
yeah,
easier for you to be target
it,
shooting than it would be for us in California, right?
yes, and some states, although shooting ranges, it's going to a range. It's a little bit more difficult to go to own a gun and carry a gun in all the different states. But there are shooting ranges that
Yeah, and you don't need
allow
a license or
you don't need
anything.
a license for to go on the range. You just can't have any felony charges to go onto a range. But so it was a bunch of guys in wheelchairs. They're like, hey, you know, you want to come target shooting with us? And I was like, oh, perfect therapy. So I did because I was, I'm like, okay, here's the thing. Now I'm a single mom. What do I do? Because now I don't have that partner to help, with the kids and to protect, etc. So I was like, okay, perfect. So I started
Yeah.
target shooting with these guys. I did get my CCW, which is your concealed carry weapons license. Yes, it's difficult different or in different states, but I did get my CCW from them. I trained with an ex-Marine that taught me. So,
Now,
my
is being disabled, does that give you like an in to get a CCW, or do you know?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make a
And not,
difference whether you're able-bodied or not. You can
mm,
go and you're on the range. I do have. There's nice that some of the ranges have tables, so I
yeah,
have to shoot, like one-handed because I am a T5. So I don't have the core balance. So I am shooting with one hand. So it's a lot different than just with balance. So they can make accommodations at the ranges, which is great. So I do that, and but I had to learn, in a different way. So it's not like, and I say that to everybody on everything. It doesn't matter what it is. There's nothing you can't do. You just got to do it in a different way.
right.
Really, honestly, it's just a matter of doing it differently. And so
I
I
want to
did
go
that.
back. I want to go back really fast to something you said.
Yeah.
How does one find a self-defense class for people in wheelchairs? I mean, do you Google it? You know of an organization in Arizona, but how do we
Yeah.
find one in California?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's I love I did jujitsu from a wheelchair. I did a another same group was teaching a self preservation class, and it was a jujitsu instructor who sat in a wheelchair. He was able bodied, but he sat in a wheelchair, and he's like, "Okay, I'm going to teach you how you can defend yourself in um, in certain situations." So yeah, there is one. I know one in Virginia that does it, but go to a local jujitsu or whatever kind of martial arts you want to learn. Like I said, I learned jujitsu, but anyone is good. Just go in there and ask, hey, do you teach, etc., and they will say yes or not. But I would just type adaptive martial arts in California, or or whatever, whatever state you're in.
Yeah, or maybe the
So
cops at, what did you call it? Rape?
the RAD, yeah, the police departments, they may
Yeah,
know,
they might know too,
they
right?
might know as some local, martial arts.
Yeah, because you're going to teach us a little bit, but I know personally I want to learn more.
Yeah.
Now,
So
when
it
you
was.
started out, were you in a manual chair or power?
Yes, yeah, I'm still in a manual chair. I just got a power chair. But I'm going to be, doing both because I obviously want to preserve the shoulders, but I also don't want to lose this. I earned these guns,
Yeah.
so I want to keep them. And so, but you can still work out. Doesn't matter, being in a power chair, you still can do all the upper body, strengthening. I still do PT and OT twice a week, so I still, work out.
Hmm.
But um,
And
yeah, so
what weapons do you keep on you when you're going out and about?
I have my stun gun. I always talk about my plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, E, and F. So my plan A is always my stun gun because I want a non-lethal way of getting out of my situation first.
Can you
Then
show
my
us?
Yes. So this is the one version of the stun gun. This is one I like the most because it's keychain adaptable and it has a safety pin to it.
Uh-huh.
So having this safety feature is that if they were to take it from me, so it's around your wrist, if they take it from me, now it's disabled. So they can't use it against me
Oh,
because
wow.
every weapon can be taken from you and used against you. So that's what I learned in jiu-jitsu. So I can disarm firearms, knives, batons, whatever you throw at me, I'm going to take it from you and then I'm going to use it against you. So if I can do it from a wheelchair, of course, an attacker can do the same thing. So you want to have that safety feature. So if it's taken from you, now they can't stun you.
Hmm.
So, but it's also disguisable. You would never know what it is. So, most of them won't see it and they won't, I'll catch them off guard because they're not thinking. Because we are, as people, in wheelchairs, we're 4 times more likely to be targeted just because of the nature of being in a wheelchair. It has nothing to do with attackers do not care. They don't care about age. They don't care about race. They don't care about gender because we all say it. I'm like, oh, I'm too old, or oh, I'm too this. I'm not, the cute little blonde. That they
Hmm.
don't care. They just want an easy grab. That's it. That's all they were looking for. They don't care about anything else. They just want an easy grab. And of course, being, in a chair, they think, oh, I can easily attack her and she won't fight back. But
Ah.
that's not the case. But you always want to be prepared. So I'm going to
Hmm.
have that stun gun's got the super bright LED flashlight, so you could temporarily blind them, giving you the seconds to be able to get away. You only need the seconds to get out of your situation. But if
Mm.
they, were to approach me, if I'm like, I don't feel comfortable and I don't, stop is not going to be enough, I will just put it towards them and just say, and I'll go so from the camera, but saying, hey, stop, don't approach me. But if they are still stupid enough to come at me, then I'm sending 18 milliamps worth of electricity through them. So too bad, so sad. I gave you the warning, and if you still come at me, then that's, I'm going for the neck, I'm going for the heart, and I'm going for nerves. The two nerves that control the arms are right here. Then the two nerves that in the legs are within the inner thighs. So if you get those areas, that will mean they can't swing at me. And then of course the legs, they can't run after me.
You're not
So
going straight for the penis? I
so
mean,
I
that would
mean,
be my
of
knee-jerk
course,
reaction.
that's the first place I'm going, but if it's, it depends on where they're, and how they're
Right.
coming at me. Then, yeah,
Sure.
of course, being in the wheelchair, absolutely, that's where I'm going. But it is
Yeah.
the inner thighs, is, the nerves are what control all that and they make the most intensity of pain. So it's a
Yeah.
pain compliance tool. Then it's, peace out. I'm out of there because it's, I say, I mean, for able bodies like stun and run, but for us
Right.
it's stun and wheel. Like get the heck out. That's all. You're not there to stay. You're there to get out of your situation.
So that's
My
plan A.
That's always my plan A, and then my plan B and that's why I have it on a little keychain. My plan B is my pepper spray.
Hmm.
And the pepper spray is I'm going to use, and I can interchange between A and B as a stun gun. The stun gun I'm going to use if I know that they're not highly intoxicated or if they are, on drugs. Because their pain tolerance, you see it on videos where, police officers will stun, an assailant and they'll keep on coming because their brain is turned off as far as their pain tolerance. Just like a drunk driver, they usually are the ones that are not getting hurt because their they're relaxed.
Oh, I
So
see.
they're not feeling what we would tense up
Hmm.
in a crash. So that's why they get away. But so I will use my pepper spray instead if I know that they're intoxicated, because no matter whether they're intoxicated or not, they're going to the eyes are going to swell shut. Every police officer I've ever trained with, they say that that's the worst training that they can go through is the pepper spray because it reactivates, so it burns for days. I mean, they'd rather
Whoa.
take like that stun and like hope to God they don't embarrass themselves. But other than that, they want the pepper spray reactivates. So it's Zorro, eyes, nose, mouth. So the eyes are going to swell shut, but if you pepper spray their nose or the mouth, then it's restricting their airways so they can't breathe. It takes at least 45 minutes to recover from a pepper spray. So
Now,
that's
how do you
plenty of time.
pepper spray somebody and not get it in your own eyes?
It's a direct spray, so it's not misting back onto you. It's a direct spray, and it shoots up to 16 feet away. So plenty of distance between you and an attacker. And it does have a UV dye in it, which means it can be detected under black light. So if they say they weren't there, then yes, it's going to show up on a black light. And then even 2 days later, even if they shower, it still has it in the pores of the skin that there's going to show some residue that comes up under black light. Because most of the time it is people either that they know and trust. So you could say,
I'm
yeah,
getting wildly excited about this.
it's like yes, it doesn't matter. So it will show up. So that's plenty of it's a distance tool, and I've had to use it. Like as far as I've had to show it. The guys, of course, are always like, hey, never mind. But I was with my kids, and they were 7 and 9 at the time. And a guy, of course, there's always nice people, especially they'll ask us, do you need help? Of course, and I'm nice until I don't have to be.
Hmm.
But we were loading the groceries, and a guy came up and said, "Hey, can I help you with your groceries?" And I'm like, "No, I'm good. We do this all the time, but thank you." Being polite, and of course they stay. Sometimes they'll look and just make sure. He's like, "Are you sure you don't need?" I'm like, "Yep, no, honestly, again, we do this all the time." And third time he asked me, then it was like, okay, now I'm heightened. You're still staying, and I've already told you no. So my rule with always with my kids is if I say stop, stop 3 times, then mom goes ape, that's it. I'm like, no means no, and stop means stop. There is no in between. So, but he asked me 6 times. By the sixth time that he asked me, I was like, no, thank you. And he's like, have a nice day. And I'm like, okay, I will. And I just literally always follow them because they may turn around,
Hmm.
they may walk away, but then they're coming around quickly. So I'd already had, by the third time that he asked me, I had my youngest daughter, I'm like, get in the van. And I
Yeah.
locked the van. And I already had put the shopping cart between me and my other daughter so that he couldn't get to her. But I never knew, like, is this going to be a double team? Is someone trying to get me, my daughter from one and distract me from one to get to the other? So I knew that they were all safe. And so, but he did. I literally followed him until I could get into the car safely and I was
Uh-huh.
ready to go. Doors were locked and then we were out.
Now, did you get
So,
the idea he was like drunk or like
no,
not in
I
his right
didn't.
mind?
I honestly think he had been following us.
Oh,
So I was a little nervous. Yeah.
I
So
see.
it made me a little nervous.
So you got
So
the vibe something was wrong.
yeah. So I had the feeling something was wrong.
So trust
Uh,
your gut is what you're saying.
I always say that. Yeah. No matter what, always trust your gut. It's never going to steer you wrong. So, yeah. So that was, I've had to use, I interchanged the A and B is my pepper,
Hmm.
between the A and B is my pepper spray or stun gun. Plan C, I use this, I trained with the city of Phoenix on this, is called a Kubaton. It's a martial arts tool, but it's used as a striking tool. So if for some reason somebody were to come up behind me and try and grab me, I could go boom right here into the wrist, and then I'm going to go start striking. So that will break the arm away, obviously, and then I'm going to start striking. Again, it's here and here, inner thighs. Yes, for us, it would be there. But collarbone, that really hurts. So, you could jab right onto their collarbone. Yes, I can go for the throat. Yes, I can knock you out by going behind the ear. Just a blunt force to the ear, I can knock you out. And then, yes, I can go for the eyes.
Now,
In a
where do
self
you
defense.
keep that so it's easy to grab?
So it goes here. I have one here. I have one in my car. I have one in my front door. I have one in my back door. I have them, I have them staged. And you always say, stage them throughout your house, so
Yeah.
that way, you have, and I always say it, and it doesn't matter because you know that in any attack situation, the the thing that's the missing piece for people is that they don't have anything to protect themselves with. That's
Ah,
the missing piece of every attack situation. So I always say, go through your home and just say, okay, because I had a man come to my door at 12:21 in the morning. You don't think things are going to happen to you, but
um,
and here's me. I do this all the time. Do I think that someone was going to come at my door? No, it was 12:21 in the morning. He said on the ring, he's like, I'm going to kill you. Do you see me? Because I see you, and I'm going to kill you. And he was on drugs. So he was having a PTSD. He was a veteran. So, as I find out later, but I didn't know that at the time.
oh my
But
God,
of
Sharon.
course, I'm having to say onto a police officer, the first thing you always want to do, is to state your name, your address, and then give a full description. And that's what I tell everybody to do. 90% of self defense is situational awareness. So if you can describe somebody, from head to toe, and so you can do that anywhere, all throughout your day. Just look at somebody just briefly and then say, what color hair did they have? What color skin did they have? What were they
Uh,
wearing? Just things like that. Anything that can tell you that there's something, that's going to give you the advantage. So I fully described him from head to
yeah.
toe. And the only thing I didn't say to the police officer was, they asked me, how old is he? And I said he was in his I'm like, I'm going to say he's in his 60s. And they asked me, what kind of build was he? Was he skinny? Was he a medium build? Or, was he large? So those are the only two things that I didn't tell them. And they found him. The obviously dispatch says they're in the neighborhood. We're going to hang up now. They're in the neighborhood. And I was like, God, why are they not coming to me? I was waiting because I
Uh,
did have my firearm. Not gonna lie, I went to Plan F on that situation, but that was they caught him because of the description that I gave, because he tore out the ring out of my wall, so I
oh
couldn't
my
tell them,
gosh.
okay, where is he? What is he doing now? I'm like, I have no idea. I'm blind at this point.
So you
So
didn't answer the door. You just saw him on the
nope.
camera.
Yep, just saw him on the camera. Yep.
Hmm.
So, you just don't think it's going to happen, but it can happen.
So do you
So,
recommend
yeah,
everybody have a camera at their front door?
so I do. I think everyone should have a ring camera or some sort of, camera in the front just so that they know, so that they can describe something to, a police officer. And I was able to record it so I could say, send them that video that said he was going to
Right.
kill me, you know. But he thought I was a, drug cartel house. So, I mean, and then the house across the street was the lookout house. So
Ah,
they're like, she's in a wheelchair, this is, no, she's not. um,
Yeah.
having a drug visit, drug
Good
visit.
Lord.
So yeah, but anyway, so
So
that,
in this case, you didn't need a weapon necessarily. You needed
yeah,
to use what David
right.
called awareness, right?
Yes, exactly.
And not
Yep.
losing your shit,
Yep,
right?
exactly. Yep. So, I mean, but yeah, so that's A, B, C. D is if I have to use my, plan D is if I have to use my body, and I'll show you those, maneuvers. But, and then plan E is my knife that I have, attached to my wheelchair. It just attaches right to the rolling of the curve of the knife is curved in that way. It's curved right into the roll bar, so you'd never know I have it.
You sell
And
the
then
knives too?
I don't sell the knives.
Oh,
I have that on, I got that from Amazon, but it's a Kate, it's a really, but it mounts, comes with a mount. So I just mounted it to the wheelchair, just like you would mount a cup holder. Same difference, just, the knife comes with it. So the carrying
now, can
case.
somebody see that on your wheelchair or it's hidden?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it from on. It probably
No,
have
not
some.
really.
Not really.
Maybe when you're going through the
Maybe
exercises with
going
your
through the
husband.
yeah the exercise. I would just put that. Can you put it up on? Sorry, I'm gonna get an
Okay,
extension
so
cord.
Teresa wants to know the pros and cons of having a stun gun. Oh, let's start with, are they legal in California?
They're legal in California. Yeah, do you want me to
Okay.
just put it up on top of the? I'm gonna put this up on top of it, and then we'll bend it down a little bit. So I'm gonna
All
put the
right.
power. I've got to put the battery is getting a little low, so sorry. I thought it was fully charged, but I guess this might drain it a little bit more. And then can we, yeah, turn the camera a little bit. Yeah, can you see
There we
everything?
go.
Is that good? Can still see. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Cool. I just don't want the battery to go out.
To
So
poop out.
anyway,
Yeah.
the pros and cons of the stun gun. One, it is legal to carry. In most states, there's only a few states that still don't allow them, and I can always give that list to you guys, but you can always send me a text message or an email, and I give you the state requirements, what allows stun guns and what allows pepper spray. Because some in New York they allow stun guns, but they don't allow pepper spray.
Yeah, you
I
said
mean,
something about bear spray when you were
so
teaching the
yeah, I
class.
don't recommend bear spray. The reason I say that is because that it says directly on the can, it says use as directed only. So if it ain't a bear, then then you could be like they could sue you if they have
Oh, I
any
see.
damage to their eyes, because it can damage that can damage more on their eyes and cause permanent blindness or whatever the case may be. They're going to sue you and they're going to win. You can try and say it was self-defense, but that's going to be a he said she said conversation. So with this regular pepper spray, they'll recover. It's gonna suck. It's gonna suck. But they'll recover. So, but yeah, that's not something they can sue you with. Yes, that's gonna be self defense versus a bear spray. So
I
that's
believe
it's
most of our audience is in California, as I am. So can you
mhm.
have pepper spray or stun gun in California?
Both. Yep, both are legal in California. Yep.
And can they buy
So
it from you?
yes, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, we'll get into that. But anyway,
Yep.
we got through A, B, C, D.
D is my body, and I'll show you those, those maneuvers. E is my knife, and F is my
Mhm.
firearm. So it's almost like a police officer. They're gonna have their stun gun. Their flashlight is already built in with the stun gun. So they have their flashlight, they have their stun gun, they have their pepper spray, and then they have their firearm. So they're gonna do the same kind of procedure as I do, like an A through. They're never gonna draw unless they're gonna fire. And same with
Right.
me. I'm never gonna draw that unless I know that I'm gonna fire, because it may happen that you may freeze, and it happens. 70% of people will freeze in a high stress situation. So if you're not practicing, that situational awareness like on a daily basis, then you may freeze in a high stress situation. Of course, again, I do this every day, so that's how I was able to immediately call 911, describe them, I have to obviously, and I'll be honest, I was in the bathroom, so I had to like transfer onto my chair, very quickly,
Yeah.
be on the phone with 911, get to my firearm, and get to my kids to tell them to get into their safe place, and then be able to have that at the door just in case he broke in because he tried. But he heard my German Shepherd, and he's like, oh, and he said on the ring too. He's like, oh, I think the dog's gonna eat me, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, he will.
So
So
that's what David and Leah were talking about in the chat was, yeah,
yeah,
having a 70-pound dog.
yep, she's my ring before my ring, So she barked before the ring went off, and she doesn't bark unless there's something there. That's what kind of triggered me to first say like, oh, there's something, there's something there, and then the ring went off, and that's when he was within that range of the ring to be able to show up on the camera. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, you never know what's going to happen. So yes, having a protection dog, absolutely great idea to
And
have.
you
But
have a safe place for your kids.
yeah,
I mean,
so
I've raised my kids, never crossed my mind
yeah,
to plan a safe place. Not
yeah,
once.
yeah. So like my daughter has in her bed has one of those underneath cabinets that you can crawl underneath.
Ah,
And full of stuff in there, but at least you can crawl under there or go into a closet or go into to tell them where a safe place to be is. I'm like, don't come out until I tell you it's okay to come out. So because I never want to have something happening to them. If I had to have used the firearm, I never want them one to see that, and b
right.
be able to um, you know get caught in the crossfire. So
Excellent.
you never know that they may have a firearm or not, but it's always just good. The stun gun, at least, it's a non-lethal way of getting out of your situation first before you have to escalate it to to that high. So I never want to do that. I never want to be at that stage unless I have to be.
So you don't start out with the gun, is your
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, no, because I never show it or never, because I don't want them to know I have it because I
Hmm.
have a mount underneath the wheelchair so that, that has my firearm. But again, I never want to show that because then that gives them the advantage that they know that that I have something. So it's always going to be concealed. Everything that I have is always going to be concealed. And then, of course, until I have to use it because they're going to be caught off guard.
Nice.
So, uh, yeah. Any other questions on what I was kind of talking about on the plan A through F?
I'm just blown away. I'm so impressed. And I'm
So,
kind of looking at myself going, why did this never occur to me? I just
yeah,
go through the world.
we're
Well,
going
when I'm
back.
in my power chair, I think I'll just ram them and I'll be fine, you
Yes,
know.
I mean,
But
again, we have that's another advantage we have. Is to roll their ass over. I
yeah.
mean, sorry, but a power chair, yes, you have more reverse,
Yeah,
crisscross. So good, I mean, you run, back it up, and they're gonna have to back up. They're gonna have to back up, but it could be
right.
in a situation where they might have coming behind, and they've got a knife, or something like that you're not expecting. So I always say, doing 360s, go around in your wheelchair, like making sure that's the one thing they're gonna tell you that every criminal's gonna tell you. I don't want to get caught, and I don't want to get hurt. Those are the two things they're always gonna say.
Huh.
So being situationally aware, looking around, is going to deflect from them even picking you in the first place. So you want to. I always talk about in classes that I teach. It's first we want to prevent an attack from happening. The plan A through F is you're preparing for an attack, and then plan C is or the next P is protect. How do I protect myself? So how do I use those things to be able to my advantage and get out of my situation? So
Well,
yes,
that's a
always
good
say
segue. So, if somebody is coming up to you with and does not have good intentions, is there something that they are most likely to do? Are they most likely to approach you head on or from behind, grab your arm, grab your neck?
yeah.
Is there
So you're going to see behaviors, and if you're paying attention, you'll be able to see that somebody before they strike. You will see behaviors that happen. It just happens naturally when adrenaline is rushing, because their adrenaline is rushing. They want power. That's all it is about power.
mm,
That they want that power, and that's why they do attack situations. So having, one is, okay, I'm not gonna be able to give you that, power to come over me.
uh,
um, so if I'm looking, like I said, if I'm looking around and I'm making sure that I'm not a target, that's literally gonna save you, because they don't want to get hurt, and they don't, they want to catch you off guard. So the number one distractor of situational awareness is the cell phones. That's
uh,
we're in a social media world, and we want to hear that ding or that ring or etc. We're like, ooh, what, like, what is that? And so I never say, never, never, never answer your phone in the middle of a parking lot. I always stress that, because I see it all the time, and I just want to go up to them and just like, boom. I want to be able to, catch you. But what they'll,
uh,
attackers will do is that they will fidget. You'll see people playing with their hands, or just, fidgeting in general, or they'll be pacing back and forth. You'll see that even like, yeah, you see animals do it. They'll go, they kind of like wiggle, and you'll see them wiggle their butt, like wiggle their butt before they strike. It's kind of the same thing. They are pacing back and forth. They're ready to, like, okay, I'm ready to attack. And you can see that. The blinking, if you're really up face to face, if somebody is blinking a lot, that's adrenaline rushing. So can tell from the eyes. And I used to, because obviously I got my degree in psychology. And I wish I never told my kids this, but, even when you're lying, you will blink more frequently. You will start blinking a lot if you're lying. And so then my kids were like, no, I didn't do it. So I'm like, dang it, why did I teach you that? But the
yeah.
blinking will happen a lot when, somebody is about to strike. So, but the most of the times they are gonna either they're gonna grab your wrist, or and try and pull you away, or pull you out of the chair, or they'll come from behind and do the choke position. Those are the two things they will do in order to get whatever they want, from you. Yes, I.
Uh-oh, froze. Come back, Sharon. Yeah, David mentions in the chat that you want to keep some of the tools on you just in case they pull you out of the wheelchair, right? Well, Sharon established that with the whatever she called the thing, the sharp thing right here. That makes sense. I don't know what guys would do, but that makes perfect sense to me. And somebody else mentioned, I think a lot of you have mentioned that one of the most important things is paying attention around you and not being like me and just going la 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 la. It never occurs to me that somebody's going to attack me. So now it will. And now I'll be looking around for somebody fidgeting and rubbing their hands and blinking. Yeah, she does look good in the wheel bad bitch shirt. Yes, I totally agree. Um, Sean, do you have Sharon's phone number we can put up in addition to the way to get a hold of her for Damsels in Defense? Because Damsels in Defense is a used to be a multi-level marketing kind of a thing, but now I believe we'll ask Sharon. I believe it's that each person owns their own Damsel in Defense. So if you guys are going to be buying some of this stuff from her, as I am, we want to make sure that we get Sharon's Damsel in Defense and not giving our business to a stranger. But I was happy to hear that in California, you can legally have a stun gun and legally have pepper spray, because those are the two things I want to get. When I was at Abilities, I bought whatever she called that purple thing, the stabby thing. I bought that from her, and it was like $10 or something, 15, and I keep it in the front pocket of my manual chair. Don't bring it to the airport because I forgot that it was that it was in my chair, and of course TSA stole it from me. They wouldn't let me go through, so I lost it that way. Um, what else? You guys have any questions? Ask me something, and hopefully we'll get Sharon back, because the part of this all, I can't stop talking to her because she's fascinating. But the part I want to do is I want to have her show us how to get out of if somebody grabs your wrist, and how to get out of a chokehold, which again has never crossed my mind that anybody would ever do that to me. It just, I don't know. Yeah. Well, that's where Sean says having a firearm under your chair is good, even if you fall out of your chair. Um, hey, Sean and Leah, will you help Sharon get back on again? Um, yeah, it depends how far away from your chair you fall. And David, her website, Sean said he posted it in the someplace. Oh, the show description, I think. I think that's where she's got it posted. But we'll make sure before we go away that we have her website and her phone number so that you guys can follow up with her. David does Aikido. Awesome. I never thought about taking it. My kids did karate, and I was already in a wheelchair, and so I had a 7-year-old and a 9-year-old taking karate lessons. And while I was there, I had their teacher teach me how to use collie sticks. Are you guys familiar with those? So you've got a bamboo stick. Let's see, camera. Bamboo stick about yay long, and you fight the other person with it. And I actually won awards competing in a wheelchair, competing with able bodies, fighting with collie sticks. My lord, that must have been back in the early 2000s. But yeah, yeah, you guys know I'm a badass. But that also gives you that self confidence that, I guess this may not be very realistic, but I always had the thought that your attitude keeps you somewhat safe. And I go through the world basically going, I'm a badass. You don't want to mess with me. Because when I was 20, I lived in Washington Heights in the top of Manhattan, and I was working in the theater in Times Square, which in those days was not Disney. It was Hooker. Hooker and drug dealer was Times Square in the early 80s. And then I worked as a waitress in Greenwich Village, and I was on the A train the whole time. So I would be going back through, walking home from the A train at, I don't know, 2 in the morning. And I just walked like I was a badass, and nobody ever bothered me. That was for 2 years. And probably I was just lucky. But yeah, Leah agrees with me. I think confidence does make a big difference. And obviously, if you've got all these self defense practices in your back pocket, you're going to be more confident going out and about. But I don't know, you guys, does it shake any of the rest of you up that Sharon has planned for all this stuff and I had no idea? I mean, are you going to look at your world differently from now on? I mean, I'm thinking about the Home Depot parking lot at 9 o'clock at night, where I've been plenty of times, and I've got a cart full of plants, and I'm not looking around to see if there's people rubbing their hands or blinking a lot. I'm just thinking about how not to crush my plants when I put them in the back of the car.
Yay!
Hi, you're back.
Yay! I just refreshed.
Oh, good. Oh, David says he's testing for his black belt in Aikido, Sharon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's a good one as well. It's definitely a
Yeah.
good
And
one as
David's in
well.
the, I don't know if you have a power chair, David, but I've only seen you in a manual chair, although he's a big, strong guy. So once again, when you weren't here, we were talking about self-confidence, going through life. And yeah, if I saw David, I wouldn't mess with him. All right, you and your daughter
Yeah.
gonna show us how to get out of the situations?
Yes. Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, you can come over here. So I'm trying to I'll make sure that it's this way. Okay. Okay, so the first maneuver is if they are going to, grab my wrist. I am never going to pull away from an attacker. Why? Because I'm not going to win this fight. They're going to be, they're more powerful than I am. Okay, and unless you're Ronda Rousey, you ain't winning this fight. Okay, so and when you pull away, your attacker is actually grabbing onto your wrist even tighter because they don't want you to go. So I'm gonna be like, please don't, please don't hurt me, and so that they don't think that I'm actually gonna go. So a simple one is like literally, I'm going to just rotate the wrist, and I'm going to if they're going depending if so she's in an underhand. If it's in the underhand position, they're grabbing you from the underhand. I'm going to flip my hand over like a pancake and pull towards me. So flip your hand and it's a pull towards you. Even if they've got you on top, they're not expecting it. You're just gonna pull it towards you. So that way they can't, they're not gonna hang on. It's not about power. It's about maneuver. And if you use this hand, so that you use this hand, so that way they can see. So, but if they were to another maneuver is so it's flipping over like a pancake and then pulling towards you. But you can also, if you please don't hurt me, using like you don't hands. We've all watched Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. Yes, that works. So I'm wedging my hand against her wrist, and then I'm in slow motion. Gonna go so. I say, please don't hurt me, and then see you later. So it's in a C maneuver. So her now hand and wrist are upwards. So that's like a belly, like you're flipping an alligator over. They're strong in this position, but they're not as strong in this position. This is how I can also break the arms. But please don't hurt me, and see you later.
Wow.
So they up, see you later. So they just can't hang on. It's not about, like I said, it's not about power. It's about maneuver. But if like my son, he would grab me really hard because he was like, oh, I got the six pack, la la la. I'm like, whatever, So it's still that. And if I couldn't get myself this way, I'm going to go in the opposite direction. And now, look, they're in a twisted position, so their arm is completely
Oh.
compromised. This is where you can put the pressure points, onto and break arms. So I can pull them towards me, and that's the thing. Like I said, they're reaching down to me, so I can just pull and boom, boom, boom. So I can start, hitting them wherever I wanted to. So that's how you can get out of a wrist grab, getting out of a chokehold. And then if they are, I'm going to go. What's a practicing high low or low high? Don't be graceful about it. Just pick one. Either A, I'm going to go low, which for us in wheelchairs, yes, I'm going to go low first, going right into the groin. And then I'm going to do a throat strike. So you just do an L as your hand, like an L, and do right into their windpipe. And then I'm going to use your palm or your elbow as the most strongest parts of your body. So palm, and you just go upwards into the jaw. Boom, I'm going to break the jaw. And then boom, I'm going to break the nose. So just upward position, I can break their nose. If they're going like this, so that's why I say high low. So if you went high and went for the face first, then they're going to break a nose. They're going to be like this. Now what is open? Their hands are
Oh.
here, not here. So that's because, yes, like you had said in the beginning, where they're protecting, that's the first place they're protecting. But if they're here, then I have the ability to go here. But if I went here first, then they're going to be bending. Now I have access to their face, and I'm going to boom, 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 and then get the heck out. So you can. That's how you can get out of just a wrist grab, and then just go for right, right where it hurts, so that way you can get get out quickly. The second part is the chokeholds. So either if they were coming from the front, you can come just right this way. If you're coming from the front, then they choke you like this. Okay? The
Mhm.
first thing you're gonna do is always put your chin to your chest. It only takes 6 to 8 seconds for somebody to choke you out. That's it. Six
What?
to eight. So
I
if
didn't
they
know
go
that.
he goes right on my windpipe, I'm going to start, and especially going to like the carotid artery. Yes, that's how MMA fighters get their, you see it and how they can, if they can get access to that carotid artery, they're going to pass out, and then, then they're done. So yes, I'm always going to put my chin in my chest. Because if you put your, even if you did it yourself, you can just go to your windpipe and then put your chin to your chest. You'll see that your airways are open. Now I can fight back. You can't fight back if you're passed out. So
Yep.
6 to 8 seconds. So I'm never gonna go up here because guys are bigger. They're, this is where all their muscle and their strength is. I'm never gonna go inwards and try and push out because no matter, even if you weren't resisting at all, it's still, this is not enough. Look, I'm going against her. She's trying to. So no, I can't. I'm not gonna push out. So, and I'm not gonna, to go up here. And this is because this is a defensive position. So I'm gonna again be like, please don't hurt me. And so I've got my chin in my chest. I'm going to literally just monkey grip right where you would have, your wrist and take your pulse. You're going to monkey grip. So hook on to their arms right at their, where you would check the pulse. So I'm going to say, please don't hurt me. And then I'm going to go right to there and I'm pushing out.
Oh,
So it's hook and fly away.
with
So
your chin
now
down.
so we'll do it again. So I'm like hook and then fly, and I'll do it in slow motion, fly away. So their arms, where are their arms? What is open? I could go here and I could go there because their hands are out the ways. They are like this, and now I have access to go that high, low, or low, high. So it doesn't matter, so that way, and then I can use my defensive situation. Or if I had my tools, etc., I would have them easy access and I'd be able to turn around and defend myself.
That's what I was going to ask you. So, if you're doing a maneuver like that, would
Yes.
you, Sharon, in that situation, would you go for that purple stick thingy or
Yep.
your stun
Sure
gun?
would. Yep. Sure would. Absolutely. I'm going to make them, I'm taking them down. Like,
Yeah, that's
listen,
what I figured.
you've attacked me. We're in an attack situation. So, yeah, I'm going to do the most damage that I can possibly do because it is going to take us a little bit longer to get away
Hmm.
than somebody else that's just going to be able to run away. So,
Good
yes,
point.
I'm going to maximize the pain as I can possibly do it.
Hmm.
So, and then get out of my situation. If it was still, yes, still coming at me, then it would be, we're going through the same steps that I talked about, plan A through, the F. The D's, I've used my body because I was caught off, like if I was caught off guard, that would be if I, they came up behind me or I didn't know their intentions at first and then I decided to get them.
So, the
But
first
then
thing you
I'll
want
have
to do is drop your chin, right?
chest, yep, chin to chest, yep, in
So, you,
any choking position, chin to chest. So I'll have her come behind me. The other way they would come at you is from behind. So most of the time they're going to come through like this.
oh,
This is what you see in the MMA fighting. That's when they're trying to choke you out. So yes, I'm going to again put the chin to the chest. Putting my chin into the wrist even will hurt for them. So I'm putting my chin to the chest. I'm gonna, if I have access to the fingers, depending on how much they have their hand behind me, I'm going to take whatever finger I can possibly get. Middle finger is the least flexible finger, but you're going to take that finger and you are going to pull it back. So it doesn't matter, but this is the least flexible finger. Your pinky will go, your ring finger goes, index, the thumb, there's, flexible. But if you pull it all the way back, absolutely, it's going to break. And so that way they're going to let go.
So
If
you're
I
looking to
think
cause pain.
I'm going to cause as much pain, I want them to get out of the choking position. I want them to stop choking me. So I'm pulling back that finger. That way they are out. So there's no
Right.
way that you can get me. From a wheelchair, yes. Power chair and manual wheelchair, I'm running their ass over. But if they're no, but and I could back up, I can back up and then get out and then turn around and then start face to face striking. But
Hmm.
if they were able-bodied, I tell people. So if you have like a caregiver or whatever the case may be, I tell them to the caregiver to, if they're doing this and they're choking you, you're going to take one step away from your attacker. So if she were to step one away from me, what is that access now? I have access to the groin. So it's elbow. I'm gonna hit them right in the groin, and then they're gonna do that same thing. They're like, Now I'm gonna turn around and then do duh duh duh, and then I have all my defense tools. Now I can strike you. Now I'm gonna do the most maximum amount of damage. But absolutely throw that into reverse. Power chair or manual chair, same thing. You can still keep on going backwards. They're going to be off balance, but you'll see. They are off balance. They have she has a lot to get around. On a chair, it's a lot
Hmm.
different than it would be from body to body. Trying to choke someone. But either way,
Right.
it doesn't matter. Pulling it back, you're done.
Hmm. Wow. Have you ever had to use this in real life?
No, I haven't.
But
Done
you're
plenty.
prepared.
Yeah, done plenty of practice, but yeah, no, no one's stupid enough yet to approach me. They all know. Yeah, I mean, they all know. But of course, it's going to be a stranger that they're going to say, "Hey, But practicing these things on safety, being situationally aware, know your surroundings. Orientate yourself, know your exits, things like that. If you know those things, you're going to be, you're going to at least prevent yourself from being attacked in the first place. So that's the biggest thing to take away is situational awareness. Be aware of your surroundings. Do your 360s. Identify someone. Just close your eyes and be able to like open them and say, okay, she's wearing this, 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 and try and describe them from head to toe. So that way, because you can't put out an APB on it. The worst thing you can say to a police officer is, I don't know, because they can't
Ah.
put out an APB on it. I don't know. If I hadn't, I mean, like I said in the story, if I hadn't been able to describe him, they would not have been able to find him. So being able to do that, look at cars. I taught my son because all boys are all about cars. I'm like, all right, know the make and model of. We need them. I started with the make. Of the car. So
Hmm.
looking at the emblems. Is it a Toyota? Is it a Nissan? Is it a Kia? Is it a Tesla? Is it a Ford? A Chevy? Dodge? Da da da. And then I started going, okay. Well, is that a Toyota Camry or is that a Corolla?
Uh-huh.
Is that a Dodge Charger or a Challenger? He would even be like, oh, if I said, oh, that's a Mustang, it's like, oh, what kind of Mustang is it, Mom? I'm like, oh, so sorry, it's a GT Mustang. Sorry, my bad. Okay, So we had to be specific. So I would teach him, like, look at make and model, so that way, you can describe a color, make, model of a car. License plates, you can actually, even if you get the first three letters of a license
Hmm.
plate, I do mine ETA, so I know estimated time of arrival. Make something up when you're looking driving. Look at a car in front of you and might say, FS, FSL. I don't know. You can make something up for seasonal learning. I don't know, just anything. Just make something up that you would remember to tell a police officer. Just make something up out of that license plate. Think of something that it would turn into, um, and then that way you can give that information to the police.
It sounds like what you're saying is be conscious, be aware, plan
Mm-hmm.
ahead,
Yep.
yeah, and don't just be spaced out as
Yep.
you're traveling through the world.
Yep. Especially,
Yeah,
when you're traveling, especially when you're traveling, you have to be extra cautious on your surroundings because you're not in a familiar place. And that's where they can take advantage, and say, oh, are you looking for da da da? Or, in a parking lot. I don't ever look lost. Whether I know where my car is, I do not look lost. And, but
yeah.
look, did I come in an up or did I go in a down? That will eliminate, where, okay, maybe I might be one row over, but at least I know I went in a downward position. Or if I travel, I take a picture of, what level I'm on so that I know, where I parked, coming off an airplane. I know what zone it is, what, floor it is, level it is. Doctor's offices, we all have ones that may have like three different levels. Where did I park in that parking garage? Know those kinds of things. And
I
that
learned
way,
when I was backpacking, I learned always turn around and look at the view in the other direction. Because if
yeah,
you just leave your car and go in one direction, it's going to look totally different when you're coming back.
yep,
And as Michelle says, avoid putting yourself in vulnerable situations. But first, you have to be conscious enough to notice a vulnerable situation, right?
exactly, yep, yep. You can tell because even like in an elevator, if I see somebody and I'm like, ooh, I don't want to be in that elevator alone with that person. If I have that gut feeling, I'll be like, oh, so sorry, I hit the up instead of the down. My bad. And if they come off the elevator, then I know it's game on. So um, that way, or I'll say, oh, sorry, I forgot something in my car. And I'll, if they know they come out, coming out of that elevator, then I know that there's it's a bad situation. But if I ever feel uncomfortable, that's when I know. But I have tools. Like I said, I have tools on me. That's the one thing I always see. People do get protection, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, I've got pepper spray," or "Oh yeah, I've got an alarm," and then they're like digging through their purse, and I'm like, I already attacked you. I mean, it's got to be on you. So attach it to something. It's all my pepper sprays have keychain, and even the stun gun is a keychain adaptable. My sets come with this little breakaway. So it has a little, it can clip to a belt, it can clip to a bag, but I've got all my tools because you think of like, oh, well, yeah, but what if they take it? But you've been, trying to take your purse, but you can break it away. Now you have all your tools. So
Ah,
all of your tools are separated, and I can hook it to like my stun gun. So you can say, just break it if they take my stun gun away, but I still got my pepper spray and I still got my striking tool. So you can break it away, and you'd still have all your equipment to be able to. So that's why you have to have a plan A, B, an ABC. You can't just have one plan in place. But that's what an attacker will. They
now
only
you
have,
mentioned when we were talking before, because Sharon just got back from traveling through Europe, saw her auntie in Scotland. Hi, Heather.
yes,
Um, but you mentioned that you had a stun gun that looked like a camera, so nobody could tell it was a stun gun.
yes,
But
yeah.
then again, I'm not familiar with stun guns. I wouldn't know one if I saw it. You
Right.
know?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the times, like TSA and all, some of them, they wouldn't even know. My newest one, uh, because the camera one is a little bit, was an older model that I still kept because I liked it.
Yeah.
But it looks like a makeup stick. Looks like a
Oh,
blush
that's
stick.
nice.
So you would never know that it's actually a stun gun. So still has the flashlight, and it still has the green is the flashlight, and the red is the stun. So
How
there's
much
my
is
cat.
how much is that, Sharon?
So this one's $50. Yeah, for
Yeah, I had no
the,
idea whether it'd be
the
$5 or 500 or 5,000.
yeah,
No clue.
yep,
So
yep.
50
So
seems pretty reasonable.
yeah, best investment you can make, and that's the thing. It's not about things that, oh, I don't need it. It's not a need. It's or a want. It's a need. You have to have it. I mean, it's not. It's a lifetime warranty, so it's the only time you're going to purchase it. One time. So if it goes out, then
Hmm.
something happens, it's got a lifetime warranty on it. So we just replace it. So pepper
Well,
sprays, yeah.
I'm about to become a grandmother, so one of the things running
Yeah.
through my head is if I've got my stun gun clipped to my chair, can a little kid grab it and set it off, or is there some kind of safety?
That's why I like the keychain one, because without that pin in it, it's simply a flashlight.
It doesn't
So
work.
no, it doesn't work. It's just a flashlight. So all they can do is just have the flashlight. So I
Oh,
used to take my kids, like in the garbage, take the garbage out, and it's dark out. They have the flashlight, but it's not, if they press it, no matter what other button they press, it doesn't matter. It's not going to work without that pin in it. So that gives me the peace of mind. But I put it in when I'm ready, to go out to a store or whatever the case may be. If I'm coming
gotcha.
out, that's when I have it in. I'm going to the gas station, da da da. Then I'm armed, so that way, if anything happens, then I can protect them. But yeah, just keep the pin out of it. And if it was in a drawer or something like that, they were coming over, you can keep that pin out, and then if they saw it for any reason, then they're not going to be able to stun themselves.
Awesome. Well, we've already run, 10 minutes
Yeah.
overtime, but you're fascinating, dude. Have you ever taught an online class?
I do. Sometimes I do. Yeah. I have
Hmm.
no problem doing that. Do Zoom or, whatever the case may be. If it's especially, if you're out of state, I can do, the same kind of, class and do a little bit, more in depth of, how to, prepare and what other things that you can do. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, so I teach all over, here in the valley. I have, came to did a class at the Roulettes the one time.
Yeah.
uh, but yeah, I don't mind doing things over the internet as well. So if you have a group of people, then I can, it's nice when I can do it, practice, people can practice
Yeah.
one on with the getting out of the wrist grab or getting out of the chokehold. But again, just how to use the tools. Um,
We had to
there's
talk to the expo about maybe you teaching something at the expos.
Yeah, I
That would
did
be
do the
cool.
expo in Phoenix last year.
Did you
Yeah,
teach there?
yeah,
Yeah,
taught the
that's right. Cool.
yeah there. So
Well, we're running way over. Michelle wanted to know for quad hands. Do you have anything that'll work with quad hands
I
in the
do. I
future?
have quads that have, use, as long as you can use your thumb,
Hmm.
you can, grip onto the stun gun. Absolutely. Or the, pepper spray is just an off, on, and then spray. So you're just using your thumb. But I have
Hmm.
had quadriplegics that, I do have it's a wrap. I don't think I have it out there, but it's actually a wrap that it's, for joggers, but it's a wrap
Uh-huh.
that like a glove that you fit over your hands, and so that way it's hands free, so that
Uh-huh.
you're not having to worry about holding onto it. So you just having to use your thumb, and then it's just, off, on spray for the pepper
Hmm.
spray. Like I said, Zoro eyes, nose, mouth. So it's just off, on spray. But I use that wrap for people with, the quadriplegics. Those are
Nice.
great. Personal alarm. Yeah, if you can, just pull a pin, and it's going to send 120 decimal sound out. So
Oh, that's
that
right. There's that thing too. Is
the
that a
emergency
separate thing or is
whistle.
that part of the stun gun?
No, yeah, no. There's a, separate alarm that's sold separately, but it can come with
Hmm.
a set. You can build it that way. But I even have like an emergency whistle. So, you can blow that 120 decimal sound. So it looks like jewelry, but you just, you're blowing 120 decimal sound. At least it's attracting attention.
Yeah.
The stun gun, yes, I'm not only am I attracting attention, because anytime I fire that, absolutely everyone's looking around like, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
But, I'm hurting them at the same time. So it's a pain compliance. So, the alarms and things like that will at least attract attention, but I want a way to hurt them, hurt them at the same time.
Yeah.
You could do the other maneuvers if you needed to. Um, even so, you can still, pull back. So, wheel yourself backwards, and, and especially use that power chair to your advantage for sure.
Well, Sean or Leah, can you put Sharon's information in the chat so she can double check that we're giving everybody the right info? And because I know I need to buy stuff from you, and I'm sure some of our viewers are going to be doing the same thing, and I don't want them to get a different damsel
Yeah.
in defense. You
Yeah.
know,
And if you can always put my phone number in the chat as well. Text me, because I do, for people that I know, I do personal discounts on it. Then, and I can, save you money. And because we all know, it's with being on disability, it can be a struggle,
yeah,
financially, and we want the things, but we can't afford, afford the things. But a simple pepper spray is $20 for me. It's $20. I
hmm
spend that at McDonald's, just trying to, at the drive-through, or their Dunkin' Donuts that they have to have every day. There's $20 right there. You know?
Well, there are some necessities of life. Now, come on.
Exactly.
Uh,
I know.
Leah wants to know if you're on Instagram.
Yes. It's Sharon.Malone and then 20,000. So that's my Instagram. So I do post things about, the tools and what's coming out. We got a brand new teal color. It looks exactly like your shirt. It's beautiful color. Love it.
Well, very
Uh,
important that my weapons match my wardrobe,
yes,
I think.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
Okay, so damselindefense.net, is that
yep,
what we do to get to
and
you?
yeah, that slash the 20,000.
Well, wait a minute. So your website is damselindefense.net, and then how do we get to you?
And then backslash, and then it's pro 20,000.
Pro
So
20,000.
yep, should have been.
PRO 20000. Got it.
Yep, yep. So it should have been in there. When I copied and pasted that, it goes directly to my directly to my website. But again,
Awesome.
you can always call me, text me, and then that way we can work out. You know, uh,
All right. And Live to Roll does shows like at least twice a week, every week. I'm not sure. I know we do Tuesday, Thursdays. So Leah asked if you could come back on one of the Tuesdays. So
oh, I would love to.
we'll see you again. I want to see.
Absolutely, I would love it.
And what's your daughter's name?
It's Brooke.
Thank you, Brooke.
Yeah.
Thank you for being the assailant.
Uh,
Gotta
it's
say, she
fun.
didn't look
It's
really
fun
intimidating.
when I do classes, and you pick somebody out, and and the guys are just like, after I started already talking about all the different protection, they're like, no, I don't want to volunteer. And I promise I won't hurt you. So I had to in a slow position for them so that I'm not hurting them.
Too much
Oh,
groin discussion for a
yeah,
guy. I get that.
exactly. They're like, get
Yeah.
us the farthest away from me as possible. Gosh, it was hilarious at the Rolettes experience, because he had
Yeah.
no idea what had gotten, what he was volunteered for. And so as I was
Oh,
talking, he was right next to me, and as I was talking, it was like getting further and like further and further away from me. He's like, oh crap, like, oh my god, what is she gonna do? Start doing the demo. It was hilarious.
I've got
So
a penis. She's got a stun gun. This does not add up. No, it
yeah,
can't be good.
this can't be good. What is she? Heck? I mean, I'm sure they had a discussion afterwards, going, "What the heck did you guys like? I
Yeah,
am not
don't
doing that again."
mess with Sharon.
So that's what they know. Bad bitch.
Bad
So
bitch coming through.
coming through, rolling
All right,
through.
you guys. Sean, give me the sponsors one more time, and then we'll say au revoir to Sharon. So we'll see her again. Don't forget when you need durable medical equipment or any kind of catheter, urological supplies, mobility professionals, and urology professionals here in Southern California. Call them, they know everything and they like us and they support us. So I will see you guys again first Thursday of every month with Michelle and Ellen. And then I'll be back interviewing somebody else who's got their own business and has made their dreams come true a month from today, I guess. All right. Thanks for being here, everybody.
Thanks,
Mwah.
everyone.
Thanks, Sharon.